something you can only do with a uni-pivot arm. Flip it upside down, rest it off to the side. Take this piece here, and we'll mount the cueing device. Put it through. Get my glasses. Okay. Right now I'm just going to rough mount it on. I'm not quite sure where it should go. Allen key it. There's little bolts on either side. That helps to keep it straight in the jacket here. So just, not even tightening it. This is the armrest, and what I'll do is remove the locking mechanism. Put that on. And again, not sure where it should be at the moment, so just put it there and just slightly there. Good. And now, just over the main bearing, down it goes. Okay, and let it just fall all the way down to the bottom. It's out of the way. I'm going to cue this out of the way here, and then right around and back. All right, I've got to just fix the wiring. Again, we're just roughing it all in right now. All right, so starting to look more like a normal tone arm. Now, we're too low, so I'm going to raise this up a little bit. Okay, kind of like, we know the arm's where we want it to be, so what we want to do now is just get this kind of level. So I like that there. I'm going to move this out of the way and lock it down here for now as a starting point. Okay. All right. Actually, at this point, I'm going to show you how the armrest works. So one, I like to keep the arm level, and you would turn this just slightly. In fact, a good way to get the angle of the rest is I'll take the locking mechanism, goes right through the hole in the arm, one of the holes in the arm. It's lined up. So it goes through, you spin it, and it'll seat itself into the right spot. There we go, nice and locked. That kind of helps me to know where the armrest is going to be. So now that's a kind of a neat, in fact, because I seem to have a nice, you can bubble level it. And if you want it a little higher or lower, you can adjust that, but I like it where it is, so I'm just going to tighten down on that. Again, be really careful with these little guys. Just super teeny weeny finger tight. Yep, and then that's good. So the arm's all locked. It's, in fact, if you're getting the table with arm and with cartridge, it'll arrive to you set up like this. Okay, so maybe while we're locked down, it's a good time to put the anti-skating on as well. You're probably wondering, what's he going to do with that thing? So here we go. What we need is my Allen key set, which is over here. One moment. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, while we have this locked down, we're going to mount the anti-skating. So with your Allen key, again, pick the right size Allen key. That one's wrong. And that mounts just on the side here. There's a little hole there. So actually I'm going to do it. Again, I'm trying to show you and do it. So a little tricky. There. So just in the hole and tighten down on it. what I'll do is, don't see what I'm doing, but I'm just turning this finger tight first. It's a lot easier. In fact, to be honest, because you don't want to do it too tight, maybe finger tight seemed to be good, just a teeny turn after that. Yeah, and we're on. Great. And I'll show you something. Taking off the lock. And see the action of the anti-skating, which is great. Okay, so next thing we'll do is we got to adjust the actual cueing device. Right now, it isn't high enough, so we have to adjust the height. So I'm going to, with the little, this gets a little fingery, going to just loosen the little key on the side. Sometimes you can just get away with just loosening the one and adjust it up a bit. Okay, you have to stop. You know why? Okay, so anti-skating is on, looks good. We're going to work with the cueing device. I can tell right now it's too low. It's up and it's hitting the records, or the platter. So I'm going to loosen up the little Allen bolt on the side. This is pretty typical to any table. And then just wiggle it up, wiggle it up. Our lift with our arm on the Bam Bam table, I know roughly if it's right about above the little line on the cue, it's a little line here, it's going to be about right. So let's see how that looks. Oh, still a teeny bit low. There we go. That's going to go too high. These things are fun. There we go. I bet. Oop, it moves slightly there. I bet right about there. I'm only playing with the one side right now till I rough it in, and then I'll lock the other side down. Yep, still too high. Okay, or low. Okay. Not bad. I think we're safe enough to try it without the stylus guard on. Notice I left it on so we don't damage anything while I'm mucking about. Yeah, it's off. I would make it a little higher than that, but lowering it down, wow, and it clears really well. So it lifts it off, but yeah, if you have a little bit of a warp, I would have it just slightly higher again. So it still needs to go a little higher. So it's a finicky thing that you just sort of play with, and you don't get too tight at this time, because when you start listening to the table, you're going to start adjusting the height of the arm, just sonically adjusting the height of the arm. We did a rough in with the level. And then what happens is you're inevitably going to end up having to change the height of the cueing device. So with some movement. So that looks kind of good. I don't like them way too high in the air, because then it just takes longer to cue. I like that height. That's a good cueing height. Yep. And just make sure it's clearing at the bottom, which it is. Yeah, looks good. Another look here. Now what I'm going to look at is the anti-skate, or the Azmuth, sorry. And the best way to do the Azmuth for a rough-in is our handy dandy little bubble level. And now I can look from the top. See where that bubble is? Okay, it's a little high on this side, so I'm going to take one of the Azmuth weights and loosen it this way, which will now cause the tilt, okay, that I'm looking for. Okay, that looks better. So, again, loosening the weights, the Azmuth weights on the side, loosen this will cause the arm to tilt this way, and then if you loosen the other side, it'll tilt the other way, and you just, you know, for me, just get the bubble in the center. Uni-pivot arms almost find their azimuth anyways. Again, they're uni-pivot, so they will sort of seat themselves nice. It's one of the nice things about a uni-pivot. So, but it's always nice to have them as close as possible to begin with, and then from there it should be quite simple for it to find itself the right spot. So that's a nice looking arm and setup, if I do say so myself. So basically it's ready to play, and then what you're doing is, this is all what I call a rough setup, okay? Then you're tweaking the height of the arm again. You're actually what I would first do is go back to the weight, make sure the weight is where it should be after the adjustment, the fine adjustments. Go back to the weight, then check the height of the arm with the bubble level, and so on. And then you're slowly narrowing things in, and then you start doing it by sound, adjusting the back here, get the height of the arm. And I do notice that if someone's singing and the S's are too the arm tends to be too high in the back. Okay, so you, by lowering the arm, you remove that sibilance of the S's, smooth down, and you know when it's right, it's finally gone away. Pick a record you know quite well. And then if you're too low, of course, you go in the other direction. It kills the high frequency, but you also lose, if the table sounds too flat or too lifeless, it's lost life and vigor to the sound. And, you know, I won't say it sounds like a digital recording or a CD player, because there's some beautifully musical CD players, but if it lends itself to be too lean or that type of just not exciting sounding, you've gone too low with the arm. There's something not right, and it's too low. So so that's a little tip. I know it is quite literal that way with the height adjusting. You're probably wondering, hey, what about the grease part? There's this funny syringe and such. So at this point, you can grease it. I like to play the table without the grease and do some more audible listening and adjusting of the arm. Because when you're dealing with the grease and the moving it on and off, you know, it can be a little messy. Not that it gets everywhere, but you have to remember the grease is there. So the table plays really nice without it. It's just the proper dampening and the final fine-tuning. You want to have the grease in there. So you can go ahead, play the table like this. Before you play, anti-skating. Anti-skating is great. If you really should have a record specifically for anti-skating, and to set up the anti-skating. Because as much as it can do to protect the wearing of the vinyl of your record, and you know, your stylus and the cantilever, by keeping the tip of the diamond centered on the groove to compensate for the pull in, it's a slight pull out. If it's pulling too much out or not doing much pulling in, it can actually do more damage. So you really want to. And again, that's something you can set up without the grease. In fact, it's a nice time to do it. Get the stylus and get the anti-skating super set up. It's very undamped, and it's going to really react and give you very audible, obvious problems, breakup without the grease. And then so at the end, when you think, hey, I've got this table set up, put the grease in. It'll really surprise you, the sound that it does to enhance the sound, and it becomes less, not that this is a really wobbly arm, but it becomes less wobbly and floor sensitive, and just the dimensionality and the spatial that it incurs with the grease is just amazing. The bottom end, the articulation in the high end really comes together once the grease is at it.